guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, as you can tell, we're going to be talking all about the dark side of America's Got Talent, also known as AGT, which is what I'm going to refer to it as a lot in this video just because it's easier to refer to it as that. Now, I know I did say that my vlog was going to be like bonus content kind of, but that just didn't end up happening due to the research and how long it took to get everything for this video. I just wasn't able to squeeze in another video, so I am sorry about that. But we are going to jump into this video and start off just with the history of this show, just in case, you don't know anything about it, or maybe you've heard of it, but know nothing, because I know there are definitely people who probably don't know anything about this show. So, the creator of this show was Simon Cowell, I'm pretty sure. Probably butchering that, and I'm so sorry. I know he's like a super popular name, and I just don't know how to say his last name, so we're just gonna go with that, so I am sorry if I said that wrong. Now, this show did first premiere in 2006, and the original judges of this show were Perez Morgan, Brandy Norwood, and David Hasselhoff. Now, throughout the many seasons that have been in this show, there's been a total of 20 as of right now. There's been some guest judges. Some of these people are Heidi Klum, and you've probably seen clips of her because she was on this show for a very long time, and she was kind of there during like the popular seasons, so you've definitely probably seen clips of her on this show. There were other guests like Sharon Osbourne, Gabriella Union, and Julianne Hough. I'm not really sure which one it is, but she was also on there. Now, the current judges on the last season were Simon Cowell. You had Howie Mandel, Sofia Vergara, and Melanie Brown. So, as you can see, you got some pretty big people on this show who were judges, bringing in popularity, things like that. And, there's been a lot of spin-off shows of this show, different versions. I'm pretty sure there's like a UK one of this, I'm pretty sure. Australia, maybe. I know there's tons of different countries that have like different versions and different spin-offs and all that kind of stuff, because like I said, this show is very, very popular, and it's definitely probably one of the more popular reality TV shows ever. If you consider this reality TV show, based on research, I guess it is considered reality TV. I know when I think of reality TV, I think more like drama and things like that, not like a competition show, but it is considered reality TV because I guess, I don't know. It's not, I know it's probably not what you would think when you think reality TV, but it's considered that, so we're just gonna call it reality TV. Now, we are gonna start talking about some of the big controversies, and one of the first things we'll talk about is different controversial guests that have been on the show. So, the first kind of controversial guest that was on AGT was somebody of the name Tim Poe. Now, Tim Poe went on AGT and performed. He was singing and playing the guitar. Now, while on the show, he did have a stutter, which was claimed by him to be caused by a brain injury that he got while fighting in Iraq. He got hit with a grenade, which then caused the brain injury. This was later discovered that actually never happened, and he actually got a brain injury and got injured before they even left for Iraq, like the army left for Iraq, and he got hurt during training. Now,
before Afghanistan 2009, I never had any problems of knowing what was real and what wasn't. I truly believed that I went to Iraq. Apparently, I got injured and broke my back in training before we even got sent. I believed that these things happened to me so much that I had put tattoos on where I got hit in Iraq, and now I have these forever, and I can't, and I don't know why is it that I believe something so wholeheartedly.
This was a whole like Dr. Phil episode, and his ex-girlfriend basically said how he's just lying. It's not like he didn't actually know what it's not like he actually believed he went to Iraq. She stated that he was a liar before he even had his brain injury, and how he would lie at the bar and put on like a fake stutter and things like that just to I don't want to say get attention, but almost, I guess, to get attention and to make people, feel sorry and things like that.
Has anything to do with the brain injury because I knew him in 2005. While Tim and I were dating, we'd all go out to karaoke bars, and Tim would act like he was mentally disabled. He had the limp already. He would just intensify it, and then if he took a drink of beer, he would let it come out of his mouth a little bit. He'd stutter. When I saw Tim on America's Got Talent, it really made me mad because it's the same act that he had put on, only it was more intensified on TV.
So this, like I said, went on Dr. Phil, and it was like a, I don't know, take what you will of it, because Dr. Phil is known to embellish stories and different things like that. So obviously, I don't know how much of this is actually true or how much of it is actually staged, but this could definitely impact AGT a little bit and just, maybe hinder people's views of the show a little bit. I don't want to say this is like the worst ever, because it's definitely not, but I thought I would mention it. And another controversial guest that was on the show that was definitely way worse was Tom Sandoval. Pretty sure I've been butchering his name and trying to figure out how to say it, and I'm really struggling to pronounce his last name. If you don't know who he is, he was somebody who was on Vanderpump Rules, which is another reality TV show. And on this show, he basically admitted and was called out for cheating on his girlfriend, Ariana Maddox, and they were dating for 9 years, and he cheated on her with his co-star, Raquel Leviss. Now, this was not something that was just an allegation. He openly admitted it. This was something that was a known fact about, this is known. Like, this is definitely what happened. He definitely cheated on his girlfriend, well, now ex-girlfriend. And this happened in 2023. In 2025, he then went on AGT with his band to perform. Now, people were not very happy about this because, they were mad that AGT was promoting him and letting him perform on this show, knowing that he was a cheater, an open cheater. And I don't know, it rubbed people the wrong way because people were really mad about this situation. This was definitely a bigger scandal. I mean, if you want to look more into it, feel free, because it definitely was a bigger scandal with, I'd say, him cheating on his girlfriend and stuff like that, especially because he was on reality TV shows, so there was a lot of drama that went along with the whole scandal and things like that. So it was definitely very public knowledge, so people were not happy about this whole situation. I think my thoughts overall on these people, I will give AGT a little bit of leeway here, because for running for 20 seasons, 20 years, you're gonna have a contestant or two that probably are a little bit scandalous, probably have some, history and things like that. I don't think these people did the worst things. It could have been a lot worse. There could have been a lot worse people on the show. I'm not sitting here saying that I condone lying. I'm not saying that I condone cheating. I don't. Those are not good things. Those are not good traits. But I will say I'm not necessarily fully saying that this is why this show is toxic and all that kind of stuff, because in the end of the day, 20 years of having a show, 20 different seasons, you're probably going to have a contestant or two who are definitely a little bit scandalous. So this is not the strongest reason to why this show is a little bit toxic and a little bit dark and, things like that. But I thought I'd mention it just so you have more to see, because once you have so many things against something, they start to pile up. So I thought I'd just give you everything I can find. And the next thing we're going to be talking about is some safety concerns that have happened on the show and different problems that have occurred. So there have been allegations around this show and not having proper safety tests being done, checking the stunts, make sure they're safe, and just there's been some allegations that they don't fully go through with all safety precautions and definitely doing what they should probably be doing. Those are allegations, but there was an incident that does play a little bit into that, and this incident was with Jonathan Goodwin. So he was doing a stunt during rehearsals where he was suspended in the air in a straitjacket, and there were basically two cars that were gonna crash together, and his objective was to get out of the straitjacket, before the cars, crashed together. And when he fell, when he got out of the straitjacket and he hit his head from a pretty high height. And when he hit his head, I'm pretty sure he's paralyzed now, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he is paralyzed. Now, due to this, he did end up suing them and filing a lawsuit in 2023 against AGT and the following companies around it. And he basically, in this lawsuit, he stated how they didn't follow proper safety procedures. They didn't test the stunt before they had him do it. They didn't make sure that everything was safe and that he was going to be okay. And it led to him being injured based on what he's claiming. Now, this lawsuit is still ongoing, so I don't really know if they're found guilty or what, because it's still ongoing. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely, there's risk, I think, when it comes to doing these extreme stunts. I feel like he almost should know that there is some level of a risk doing these crazy stunts. Now, maybe AGT did not do what they were supposed to when it comes to safety regulations. I don't know. I don't know safety regulations. I don't know all the standards, and I also don't know what they did and didn't do. So it's hard for me to sit here and say who's at fault or anything like that, especially because the lawsuit hasn't been done yet. So I don't even know who the courts find liable, if anybody. So I don't know. I'm kind of left at a little bit of, I don't really have much of an opinion on this. I think if the right things were not done and safety procedures were not done, I think they need to be done, and that needs to be something that is done better and to a better extent if it was not done. And I think when it comes to Jonathan Goodwin, there should have been a little bit of expectations, possibility of something going wrong. I get it. Nobody goes into anything thinking that they're going to get paralyzed, something like that. He was doing an extreme stunt, though, but I'm definitely not sitting here saying it's his fault. I'm also not going to sit here and blame AGT, though, because, like I said, the lawsuit's still ongoing, so I don't know to the extent of the safety precautions and things like that that were done and that should have been done that weren't done. I just don't know all the details of the case, so I'm not going to sit here and give much of an opinion on it because, like I said, I just don't know everything. But the next thing I am going to talk about is just the overall toxic environment. And there have been some pretty harsh allegations against some bad toxic environment around the show and how some judges have been treated in the past. So, first kind of toxicity and things that have been stated was this one guest came on. His name was Jay Leno, I think is how I say his name. Now, there was a picture of Simon Cowell and his dogs, and Jay made a joke saying that this is something that you would find in a Korean restaurant menu, referring to the idea because there's a on-running joke about Asian people and eating dog meat instead of like chicken meat and things like that. It's something that people have said for a long time now. It's like a joke. It's very racist, very, like adding stereotypes and just not very, not a funny joke, not something that I personally find funny. So people were mad about that when they found out about the joke because that's just like toxic environment to have, making racist comments, different things like that is definitely not people that you would want on the show. Now, somebody who was very, very openly spoken with toxic experiences was Gabrielle Union. And I know I mentioned her earlier in the video as a special guest appearance. Now, she has made multiple different claims against the show. The first one was she stated how Simon Cowell would smoke, and the smoke really bothered her because she is allergic to cigarette smoke. So when he'd smoke, it just really bothered her. Now, Simon's spokesperson has stated that when Simon heard of the complaint, he changed his actions and changed his behavior, and he really wasn't happy that people were still thinking that he didn't and that there was like lies being spread around about him. So there was that thing. She also stated how a lot of the hair and makeup crew were not really good for doing people like minorities and doing people who weren't white and doing their makeup and hair and things like that. Now, Variety also went against that, saying how half of the makeup crew and hair crew were people of color. So I don't really know. And another claim that was actually both Gabrielle and Julianne was basically stated how they had a lot of comments made about their appearance. They had a lot of extensive notes being said to them, basically telling them how to look, dress, things like that. They just got a lot of notes based on their appearance. Another thing that Gabrielle also stated was why she was allegedly fired. She claims how she was allegedly fired for being too black for the show's audience, more specifically talking about her hair. And she also was allegedly fired for being too difficult, and this was when it came to her complaints about Simon and smoking. Now, that is just alleged. Now, she did openly share her stories and these experiences of different racist comments, different things that she had to experience in the toxic environments on the show. Now, when she came forward, NBC did do an investigation on this, and her and NBC did reach a settlement in 2020. Now, when she first came out with all of these allegations of the toxic environment and things like that, there were a lot of celebrities who came forward and openly supported her and supported her confidence for coming out against AGT and for speaking up for herself and what she had to deal with. There were especially a lot of other black women who also came out and supported her because they have experienced similar racism and things like that within the industry, and they knew what she was coming from, and they were happy that she was coming forward and being open about it and speaking her experiences.
It's no secret, Gabrielle Union's a friend of mine. She had a 5-hour conversation with NBC and America's Got Talent yesterday. There were all of these stories about, judgment of her hair, the harsh judgment that the women on the show receive versus the men. And these are all these allegations. But it's the workplace issue and identity that you speak out a lot about.
Yeah, well, first of all, I stand with Gabrielle Union. I think it is unfortunate that she's taken the fall like this, but I do think that this is emblematic of the experience of a lot of black women, particularly in corporate environments or environments where you are the only one who looks like you. And, I know you must know what it feels like to have
No, what are you talking about?
And that's part of why I wrote my book.
Well, I said yesterday, women are labeled difficult, black women labeled angry and difficult, but together we can make a sea change so that all women
absolutely
can have a seat at the table.
Now, I think that, if any of that was true, any of it, it's gross and disgusting. Somebody should not be on a show and have to deal with racism and being called too black for the audience, whatever that even means. Like, I don't understand, especially if they're talking about her hair, which she did say they were. I don't understand that. I think that that's gross and something that probably shouldn't be commented on and something that makes no sense. And it's just based on racism, probably a little bit of being a little sexist and things like that definitely played into it. And if any of it did happen, it's gross. I think it's disgusting. And who'd want to work in such a toxic environment and be in a place where you are literally being judged for the color of your skin and your gender? Makes no sense to me. Now, I'm going to be sharing my overall opinions on AGT, my thoughts, if I think it's toxic, just giving you my concluding thoughts and opinions. So, my final thoughts on the show is there have definitely been some things going around. I know there was there for a while a lot of people coming after AGT for toxic environments and things like that. Like, there have been other videos I'm pretty sure made about this because this was something that was talked about. Now, I don't know. I'm seeing everything that I've seen during research and things like that. If it is true, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, why would you want to work for a show that's being racist, sexist? Why would you want to be a contestant on the show if they're not taking proper safety precautions? And then they do have contestants who they know or cheaters come on and still let them perform, be a contestant. Just, there have been some things that definitely make you raise an eyebrow, look at them, think, why would you do that? And I don't know. I think reality TV has a lot of toxic environments. A lot of those shows are very toxic. And that's kind of what influenced me to want to do this series, because there are so many different reality TV shows that are so toxic. Like, you have AGT allegedly being racist and sexist, and having people on the show, like, say, Jay, making racist comments and things like that. Allowing this behavior to continue and be pushed and things like that. Just not good behaviors that you would want on a show, on a set. I just think that if any of it's true, I'm not for any of it at all. They need to be making sure that they are doing the right safety. They need to be making sure that everything is okay when it comes to safety. They need to be not being racist and sexist and saying that somebody is too black for the audience of the show, which literally makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know. I'm definitely against all those actions. So if any of them are true, it's a no for me. I personally never really got into AGT, if I'm being fully honest. I watched it maybe a little bit when I was younger, but I didn't heavily watch it. I just found it kind of boring, if I'm being fully honest. It never really piqued my interest enough to just pop it on and watch it, if that makes sense. I always thought Simon was a jerk, if I'm being fully honest. Like, how he is, how he acts, he's just like, comes across as being very rude. And there have been so many clips and things like that of him being rude and mean, and I don't know, I just don't like his whole vibe. I've seen a lot of clips on TikTok, and I don't like his vibe. I don't think he treats people with respect.
I can honestly say you are the worst singer in America.
Really?
Truthfully.
Well, that's my first audition, so.
Well, I'm not surprised, and it should be your last. Last year I described someone as being the worst singer in America. I think you're possibly the worst singer in the world, based on that performance. And I'm absolutely serious. I've never, ever heard anything like that in my life. Ever.
I wouldn't be shocked if there were racist comments and things like that being made based on how I can just see how the people react. I feel like there's just a lot of tension when it comes to judges. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like there is tension, and I don't know, that's personally what I'm seeing. Like I said, I could be reading it wrong. I don't know. These are allegations. They're not verified, but believe what you will. So, yeah, I hope you guys learned something new. I know I learned so much. I don't know about any of this stuff, if I'm being fully honest. Like I said, I've heard people talk about how AGT was toxic, and I've heard people talking about it, but I didn't actually know why. I never really watched a video on it, nothing like that. I never really looked into it. I just heard that it was toxic. So it was definitely interesting to do more research, see the allegations around it, because yet again, who wants toxic environments on set? Like, this is something that needs to be fixed. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye!